Newer is not always better. Now, we see in Ephesians, it speaks of being sanctified and cleansed by the washing of the water by the word. You know, this is how we prepare ourselves as to be that bride made ready. It's by sanctifying ourselves and cleansing ourselves with the water of the word. You know, because we do want to be made ready. We don't want to have spot or wrinkle. You know, we don't want to have any blemishes. We want to be pure, you know, and ready when the Messiah come back. You know, so we want to get that bleaching cream out and, you know, get rid of them sightly spots. You know, that is, be without disgrace. You know, and we want to make sure that, you know, we have everything ready, so we're that beautiful bride that our bridegroom will be proud to have as his wife. You know, so hereby Paul is teaching us how it is to be made ready. Then comes the time of fetching. Newer is not always better. Fetching is just an old term, you know, meaning to go get something. And this is the time of fetching. When the father finally says it's time to retrieve the bridegroom would get his friend or friends to accompany him, who would go before him with the blowing of shofars and shouting, "Behold, the bridegroom comes." Next reader, Matthew 25, verses 5 through 12.
While the bridegroom tarried, they all slumbered and slept. And at midnight there was a cry made, "Behold, the bridegroom cometh. Go ye out to meet him." Then all those virgins arose and trimmed their lamps. And the foolish said unto the wise, "Give us your oil, for our lamps are gone out." But the wise answered, saying, "Not so, lest there not be enough for us and you. Go ye rather to them that sell, and buy for yourselves." And while they went to buy, the bridegroom came. And they were ready, went in with him to the marriage. And the door was shut. Afterwards came also the other virgins, saying, "Adonai, Adonai, open to us." But he answered and said, "Verily I say unto you, I know you not."
Yes. So here we have within this parable a depiction of, you know, how to be when the bridegroom comes to get his bride. You know, he comes at a time when the bride does not know. And he usually sends his friends to accompany him. You know, he usually sends them out ahead of him, in all actuality. Yahushua will have two of his friends come and retrieve his bride as well. And these will be the two witnesses that we read about in Revelation 11. We'll read verses 3 through 7. Or my next reader can read verses 3 through 7.
And I will give power to my two witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,230 days, clothed in sackcloth. These are the two olive trees and the two candlesticks standing before Elohim on the earth. And if any man will hurt them, fire proceeded out of their mouth and devoured their enemies. And if any man will hurt them, he must in this manner be killed. These have power to shut heaven, that it rain not in the days of their prophecy, and have power over waters to turn them to blood, and to smite the earth with all plagues, as often as they will. And when they shall have finished their testimony, the beast that ascendeth out of the bottomless pit shall make war against them, and shall overcome them and kill them.
Yes, so we see here the two witnesses. These are the two olive trees and the two candlesticks standing before Elohim, the Elohim of the earth. So, you know, we know that they cool with Yahushua if they standing before Elohim, because Yahushua is Elohim. You know, these are his two friends that he had sent to retrieve his bride. We have to be ready. We have to be listening out for him. Next reader, Matthew 22, 8 through 14.
Then saith he to the servants, The wedding is ready, but they which are bidden were not worthy. Go ye therefore into the highways, and as many of you as ye shall find, bid to the marriage. So those servants went out into the highways, and gathered together all as many as they found, both bad and good. And the wedding was furnished with guests. And when the king came in to see the guests, he saw there was there a man which had not a wedding garment. And he saith unto him, Friend, how comest thou in hither, not having wedding garment? And he was speechless. Then saith the king to the servants, Bind him hand and foot, and take him away, and cast him into the outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth, for many are called, but few are chosen.
Yes, and you know, oftentimes when they had these marriage ceremonies, you know, they would give them garments, wedding garments, you know, and hence we see example of Samson in Judges 14, where he's speaking about, you know, you'll get your garments if you answer this riddle, you know. And here it is, someone's at the wedding and have not a wedding garment. You know, what do you guys think this wedding garment will be? You know, if you read early on in Revelations, there is a garment that's given unto the saints.
Clothes of righteousness.
Yeah, we read about it, the white linen, you know, which is the righteousness of the saints. This is the wedding garment. So you had someone in there that was unrighteous. And he asked him, you know, Friend, how camest thou hither not having a wedding garment? And he was speechless. Well, he didn't have to say nothing else, because they threw him on out. Cast him in the outer darkness, and there was weeping and gnashing of teeth. For many are called, few are chosen. The wedding feast, the doors would be shut. The feast began with great dancing and celebration lasting 7 days at the bridegroom's house. All guests were given special garments, clothing of festivity. The bridegroom and the bride were treated as king and queen. Though the main focus was on the bridegroom, the bride paraded about showing off her beauty and was very much respected. The bridegroom and the bride also wore garments of celebration and did no work. They would watch the festivities, drink wine, and even join in the dancing, but oftentimes were in their private quarters, probably doing what married people do. The ruler of the feast was responsible for all preparations and benedictions. You know, here it is. Now, wouldn't this be awesome, you know, if, you know, you had a marriage ceremony like this, lasted 7 days, you didn't have to do any work, you know. Not only it lasted 7 days, you didn't have to do any work. Somebody cleaned it up every day and recooked all the good dishes every day and put them back, and you know, the DJ played all new songs, and you know, and everybody just had a great time, and here it is, all you had to do was just sit back and enjoy your new groom or your new bride, you know. For 7 days, you know, you guys were the king and the queen of the time. You know, and here it is. It shouldn't have been no excuse as to people not being able to attend, because they had over a year to plan for it. Amen? They had over a year to plan for it. You know, and as well as, you know, you had a year to, you know, to get the money up to put on the festival. You know what I'm saying? To host it. You know, so, you know, all that would actually be awesome. You know, it's like everybody who comes gets a vacation. You know, because they're staying at the bridegroom's house. You know, at the dad's house. So you know, it was on his dime. So the house wasn't big enough. He had to find some place for him. You know, yeah. But wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah.
I mean, here it is. All you got to do is just show up and help them celebrate. You don't have to pay for no hotel. You don't have to pay for no meals. It'd be good just to be a guest. I would love going to weddings then. All you got to do is just show up and have a good time. And maybe bring a gift. I'm sure they still brought gifts, but you can afford to bring a gift. You don't got to pay for nothing else. That would be awesome. That would, and it's going to be awesome. That's going to be awesome. Revelation 20, verses 5 to 10 says, "And the rest of the dead live not again until the 1,000 years were finished." This is after the wedding ceremony. This is the first resurrection, verse 8. "And shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea. And they went up on the breadth of the earth and encompassed the camp of the saints about and the beloved city. And fire came down from Elohim out of heaven and devoured them. And the devil that deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet are, and shall be tormented day and night forever and ever." This word Gog means roof or covering. Magog means covering, roof dissolving. It speaks to the enemy that seeks to cover his people. It seeks to be a covering for his people, but it's a dissolving covering. It's not. It's a deception. It's a deception. It's an illusion. It's there, but it's not. It's constantly dissolving, eroding. Whereas Yah's covering is permanent. And they find out just how much it dissolves when Yah comes and do away with it. Ezekiel spoke about this time as well. How about next reader read Ezekiel 38, 1 through 3, and Ezekiel 38, 14 through 16.
And the word of Yahuwah came unto me, saying, "Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and prophesy against him, and say, Thus saith Adonai Yahuwah, Behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal. Therefore, son of man, prophesy and say unto Gog, Thus saith the Adonai Yahuwah, In that day when my people of Israel dwelleth safely, shalt thou not know it? And thou shalt come from thy place out of the north parts, thou and many people with thee, all of them riding upon horses, a great company, and a mighty army, and thou shalt come up against my people of Israel as a cloud to cover the land. It shall be in the latter days, and I will bring thee against my land, that the heathen may know me, when I shall be sanctified in thee, O God, before their eyes."
Okay, Gog is the king that he's speaking to. Magog is the land. He's the prince of Meshach and Tubal. Meshach means drawing out. He's trying to draw people out of the body of Elohim. And Tubal means the earth, the world, confusion. He's trying to draw them out into the world, into confusion. Which is the very thing we're trying to get away from. Ezekiel 38, 17 through 23. My next reader, please.
"Thus saith Adonai Yahuwah, Are you he of whom I have spoken of in old time by my servants, the prophet of Yisrael, which prophesied in those days, many years, that I would bring thee against them? And it shall come to pass at the time when Gog shall come up against the land of Yisrael, says Adonai Yahuwah, that my fury shall come up in my face, For in my jealousy and in the fire of my wrath I have spoken. Surely in that day there shall be a great shaking in the land of Israel, so that the fish of the sea and the fowl of heaven and the beast of the field and all creeping things that creep upon the earth and all men that are upon the face of the earth shall shake at my presence. And the mountains shall be thrown down, the steep places shall fall, and every wall shall fall to the ground. And I will call for a sword against him throughout all my mountains, says Adonai Yahuwah. Every man's sword shall be against his brother. And I will plead with him with pestilence and with blood, and I will rain upon him and upon his bands and upon the many people that are with him, an overflowing rain, great hailstones, fire and brimstone. Thus will I magnify myself, sanctify myself, and I will be known in the eyes of many nations, and they shall know that I am Yahuwah.
Hallelujah.
Yeah.
Hallelujah. And truly it's going to come when everyone will know who Yahuwah is. You know, and this speaks to the 8th day. You know, the 8th day was considered a separate festival in and of itself. And it speaks to the great white throne judgment that we read about in Revelations 20, verses 11 through 15. Can I have my next reader read Revelation 20, 11 through 15?
And I saw a great white throne, and him that sat on it, from whose face the earth and the heaven fled away, and there was found no place for them. And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before Elohim, and the books were opened, and another book was opened, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books, according to their works. And the sea gave up the dead which were in it, and death and hell delivered up the dead which were in them, and they were judged every man according to their works. And death and the grave were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death. And whosoever was not found written in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire.
Yes. Now, that's the end of the story. Quite literally. You know, and you know, we want our names written in that book of life. We truly do. You know, and if you noticed in those verses, it said a couple times, we're going to be judged by our works. So I would suggest that you build up as many good works as you can. Because if you're going to be judged by your works, you know, that includes good works and bad works. You know, so I would think that a whole lot of good works will be favorable, to say the least. You know, so I would venture to say that, hey, we should be storing up some good works, putting them in the bank, you know, and maybe, you know, with Yah's mercy, they'll offset some of the bad works that we've done, you know. And